You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
Tide Pods or any detergents are an alkaline substance that can cause burns that are pretty significant. Burns to the mouth, if you squirt it into your eye, it can cause burns to the surface of the eye. It can cause burns to the esophagus.
Kids eating Tide Pods as part of an internet challenge. It can lead to a visit to the ER. Why are kids doing something so obviously stupid? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on the Tide Pod Challenge in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight with 2 Anna Maria Island employees being fired after removing planks from the city pier and giving them to the families that sponsored them. And now, some members of the community are petitioning the mayor to give the men their jobs back. After Hurricane Irma destroyed the pier, Jeanette Langer was worried the city would throw out the plank she sponsored in memory of her grandson. She reached out to the mayor, and when she didn't hear back, she told her friend, Public Works employee Peter Pier, about her concerns. Pier went to the pier with a co-worker and took 2 planks for their loved ones. 2 days later, they were fired.
It just caught me by surprise. I mean, I had no idea that it'd go this far.
Deadline to request the planks from the city was January 26th. As for the Langer family, the city came and took their plank away. Remember those series of arson fires we reported the other day? Tonight, news of an arrest in Charlotte County. The sheriff's office is charging Brandon Wilson with setting fires on Lorette Avenue, Mayville Avenue, and McManaway Avenue. The deputies say there was a strong odor of gasoline at each location. Wilson is also a person of interest in 20 other fires since Sunday in Northport and in Charlotte County. Wilson is also the son of a fallen Charlotte County Sheriff's Deputy, Michael Wilson, who was shot and killed in the line of duty in 2013. Governor Rick Scott is in Sarasota tonight talking jobs. Scott is at Rapid Composites. It's a small business that designs and manufactures hardware for law enforcement and the military.
I think it's great to see all this technology and all these young people building companies of the future. And so Sarasota is a beautiful community. They have a lot of talent here. So it's exciting to see what Alan's done here and see this team and how excited they are about the products they're developing. I like the fact that they're developing products for the U.S. Navy and for first responders and for the rest of the military, because we all think about it. We all want to be safe, whether it's your local police departments and sheriff's departments do well, and you clearly want our country to be safe.
And we'll have more on the governor's visit tonight at 11. We are less than a week away from the special election for the vacant House District 72 seat. Democrat Margaret Good, Republican James Buchanan, and Libertarian Allison Foxhall all vying for the seat. The 3 candidates had their one and only debate right here on ABC7 last week. Missed it? We have got you covered. The debate will re-air in its entirety Monday night on ABC7 at 7. Election day is Tuesday, and polls will open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. To find the nearest poll near you, just go to www.sarasotavotes.com. A precautionary boil water notice is in effect for part of Manatee County. It is for people living on 64th Street Court east from 12th Avenue East to 24th Avenue East. The water will be shut off from 8 tomorrow morning until 1 p.m. because of a fire hydrant being installed. Legislation creating a voucher-like scholarship for students who have been bullied in public schools continues to be on the move in the floor of the House. The House Education Committee approving a bill today creating the Hope Scholarship Program. It would be funded through drivers making contributions when they buy cars or other vehicles. In exchange for the voluntary contributions, motorists would receive credits on taxes they would otherwise pay on the purchases.
I was a victim of bullying, and switching from out of the public school system has changed my life for the better. I am in support of the Hope Scholarship because I want a student to have the same option to not feel alone and isolated from the rest of his peers.
It does not guarantee that we're going to deal with the problem of how do we stop the bullying. It does not guarantee that the recipient of a Hope Scholarship will get a quality education.
The legislation is now ready for a final vote by the full House. Several Democratic lawmakers were joined at the state capitol today by city and county officials from across Florida asking the state legislature to dedicate more funding for affordable housing, calling the current housing situation in the state a crisis. The group is asking legislative leaders not to divert more than $300 million that typically goes into local and state housing trust funds. In recent years, a significant amount of the housing trust fund money has been moved to other priorities to help balance the state budget.
As housing and transportation costs have continued to increase while wages are relatively flat, working Floridians in every corner of our state are having a harder and harder time paying the rent.
So far, the Florida Senate has agreed to spend all of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund money as intended. However, the House plans to use more than half of the money on other areas of the state budget. Now let's head over to ABC7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We are looking at gorgeous weather today, this afternoon. Lots of sunshine out there. Temperatures nearing record highs. Highs today were in the low 80s. Here's the Van Wezel webcam review showing these high cirrus clouds. You saw a little sundog right there. Beautiful sunset tonight. Once again, we have this frontal boundary. It's weak. It's a cold front, and it is slowly moving down to the southeast right now. You see it slicing right there through Louisiana, and a few showers are out ahead of it now, moving through the panhandle. We are not anticipating any rainfall here. The winds have been basically out of the south and east today, and that southeasterly wind flow really warmed us up. Now, the area of low pressure here in the system basically going to travel off to the northeast as that cold front moves down. It becomes parallel with the upper level winds, meaning it's not going to have much of a push down south. It's going to fade away just to our north. 71 right now. Dew point's way up there at 67 degrees with a west wind at 3. It sets up a pretty good possibility anyway for sea fog to develop. And sea fog can be rather thick, and it can stick around for a long period of time too. Tomorrow morning, that may be an issue for beachgoers and commuters as well. 30-21 on the barometer. That continues to rise, and at that rising barometer, it's not going to allow that front to move on in and cool us down. Temperatures this evening staying warm, mid-60s by 11 o'clock. This is just one forecast. The indications are that sea fog is going to roll in after midnight tonight, and you can see the winds will be light, and that fog can be rather thick at times. And that can be a very dangerous situation, Alan, as commuters go. Visibilities could be less than a quarter of a mile, so we'll see on the National Weather Service will issue an advisory on that tomorrow morning.
Just like San Francisco.
Yeah, well, not as often, but yeah, we do get it occasionally during the winter.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, why are people doing crazy social media stunts like eating Tide Pods? Stay with us.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
Alex Karras Lincoln's 40th anniversary sale. Drive a brand new 2018 Lincoln MKC for $279 per month or the Lincoln MKZ for $299 per month. We have a great selection of certified pre-owned Lincolns. These vehicles have warranties up to 100,000 miles and come with complimentary roadside assistance. Alex Karras Lincoln, where our mission statement is consistent commitment. Every client, every time. Located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, Enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Get breaking news alerts focused on the Suncoast. Download the ABC7 News app.
The latest disturbing media trend has teenagers eating laundry detergent packets. You may know it as the Tide Pod Challenge. It's poisoning kids across the country. So why the teens continue to do it? ABC7's Jess Dowdrick shares some insight. Jess.
Alan, the Tide Pod Challenge follows a laundry list of other viral internet games. First, teens were daring one another to chug a gallon of milk. Then it was eat a spoonful of cinnamon. Now it's these Tide Pods. Teenagers are ending up in emergency rooms across the country. For what reason?
Videos are circulating on social media. Kids are eating bright-colored liquid laundry detergent packets, foaming at the mouth with soap. It's a game teens are calling the Tide Pod Challenge.
I thought it was kind of stupid of people to eat such a poisonous and dangerous thing.
At the State College of Florida Collegiate School in Manatee County, most teens know exactly what the Tide Pod Challenge is.
Well, I saw it on YouTube and people just biting it and it just runs through their mouth. It's not good.
Luckily, the students at SCF Collegiate School seem to be avoiding this poisonous trend.
Mainly, I'm kind of seeing it from a higher level of people doing it, as in people from college. That's mainly where I got it from. But when I discussed it with my peers, I didn't really hear them saying they wanted to try it and stuff.
But teachers are warning the students anyway, not just about the Tide Pod Challenge, but about all of these viral challenges.
I hear about them all the time. I think if they show up, it's either you're eating cinnamon or you're eating the single hottest chip challenge, or it seems like every week there's something new, stupid to do to yourself.
It's not clear how the Tide Pod Challenge got started, but the American Association of Poison Control Centers is warning that it's seen a spike in teenagers eating these laundry pods. Poison Control Centers saw 53 cases all of last year. In 2018, they saw 39 cases in just 15 days. That's 13 to 19-year-olds misusing these laundry pods. Doctors now warning of the dangers. Dr. Diana Kerblick works at one of Sarasota Memorial Hospital's urgent care centers. Luckily, she hasn't seen any patients that have eaten these Tide Pods.
If I were to get a patient that had apparent concern for a possible ingestion, I would send them over to the emergency department.
Dr. Kerblick is begging teens not to do the challenge, warning it could cause seizures, respiratory arrest, or even kill you.
Tide Pods or any detergents are an alkaline substance that can cause burns that are pretty significant. Burns to the mouth. If you squirt it into your eye, it can cause burns to the surface of the eye. It can cause burns to the esophagus.
So if it's so dangerous, why are the kids still doing it? Psychologists have a few guesses.
Online, when something is two-dimensional online, it looks less real. You're more anonymous. So danger for many people is suspended when it's online, as opposed to real life. If you saw someone do something terrible real life, it has a bigger impact on you than when it's done on screen.
Kids could be lonely and craving attention.
It's all part of this new age that we're in, that many kids live their lives, all their friends online.
Reimar Tirado owns Sarasota Underground, a new media company in Sarasota. Tirado watched the Tide Pod Challenge spread like wildfire online.
I thought it was a satire video when I first saw it. I thought it was somebody making a spoof video about hey, I'm gonna put this thing in my mouth.
Not only this trend, but he sees new challenges pop up almost weekly. He has his own thoughts on why teenagers are following such dangerous trends.
First of all, everyone wants to be famous, right? So everyone's looking for that quick opportunity to get 1 million views online. Because that's what social status is now, right? And so especially school-age kids, if I can get 1 million likes, I'm more popular than you. And so that becomes real social pressure to try to create the next crazy thing.
Toronto also thinks there's a psychological reward that teens get from it, that it makes them feel closer to their peers. So how do we prevent the next Tide Pod challenge? Toronto isn't sure we can.
The world is that you can't stop stupidity from spreading.
Psychologists can only recommend monitoring and limiting your kids' time online. One can only guess what the next viral video trend will be.
When teens eat these capsules, they've been hospitalized with vomiting, difficulty breathing, and even a loss of consciousness. Luckily, there haven't been any reported deaths.
Jess, thank you. No vomiting or difficulty breathing at the trapezoid, and we have not lost anyone yet. Back in a moment.
My name is Stephen Jaffe. The law firm's name is Farmer Jaffe. One of the beautiful things about Julius is he's always smiling, and it becomes infectious. The fact that Julius has a disability has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work that he's done. Just a great person you want on your staff.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles.
I will always place the mission first.
They stand ready to respond to any crisis.
I will never accept defeat.
They serve in their communities as citizens and as soldiers.
I will never quit.
They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Learn more at nationalguard.com.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
It's a modern comedic take on a mid-century political drama. I'm Stephanie Roberts. Oslo Rep is here to preview Rhinoceros. A Suncoast resident creates her own feature film, and from a concept on paper to the red carpet premiere, we will learn all about the process. Plus, a world-renowned Tampa Bay landscape photographer shows his work, and Popey gets us ready for the Greek Festival.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Media challenges had some sort of redeeming social value, like the Ice Bucket Challenge. Anyone? Now kids are eating detergent. In this case, Tide Pods. We hope our kids will grow up to be smart, well-adjusted adults. Then comes news that teenagers are eating the colorful detergent packets and are uploading videos on their social media platforms. Not sure if they're uploading the vomiting and the foaming at the mouth as they pass out and get rushed to the hospital. Joining us for more to try to understand this is clinical psychologist Eddie Rainier and Raymar Tirado of the Sarasota Underground. And Raymar, let me start with you. How do these things start?
So they're not real sure how this one started, but there was a Tide challenge where Tide actually challenged you to put a stain on your clothes that they might be able to help you get out. And then the Onion ran an article saying something about, I'm going to eat one of these. You know, and it was a satire article, The Onion. Yeah. And so the way our social media structure is set up, you don't know if that's where it starts. We reward the wrong type of behavior, right? So we reward silly, stupid things that catch people's attention. And so when you do something like this and it goes viral, it causes a daisy chain. And so we don't really know what's real news, what's not, you know, and it becomes an interesting situation when you have this tool to reach millions and millions of people almost instantly, and it starts creating these trends that are moving faster than we can keep up with.
Have there been other challenges like this that have been, in a similar way, dangerous?
I don't think Not that I can think of in this context. Typically the stuff you see sharing is feel good, again, like you said, raising money, ALS, the Ice Bucket Challenge, whatever, these different things, or at least funny, right, or fitness motivated or something.
Well, there was a cinnamon challenge that was...
Oh, yeah, but still nobody's really dying from the cinnamon, right? It's like painful, it's like the drinking a gallon of milk in under a minute or whatever that is, right? You might throw up, but nobody's gonna die. And so when you see something like this proliferate, you just wonder, like, what are they thinking? Because it's not like 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds crawling into their laundry cabinet and doing this accidentally, right? This is teens, this is adolescents who, at some level, you would think would know better than to just eat these things.
Well, that's a perfect segue to you, Doctor. A lot of us did the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. It was a thing for a good cause, but obviously the idea of eating Tide Pods, detergent, anybody would know that that's a dangerous thing to do. So what motivates an adolescent, a teenager, to do something that is so obviously dangerous?
Well, I think that the more our kids are connected to the internet, the more friends they have online, the more lonely they are, and the more unhappy they are, the more depressed they are. Depressed people seek to do dangerous things to themselves. And so as they're isolated but they have all these friends, they're constantly on their phones, there is this sense I can do something outrageous. Maybe that will give me relief. Maybe that will give me more friends. Maybe somebody will discover who I am.
Right, but it's not only depressed young people who are doing this.
It's an attention crave.
It's an attention crave, yeah.
It's because, again, it goes back to the reward structures set up, right? You got Kim Kardashian, you got, these celebrities that become celebrities for either being attractive or for doing something dumb or for releasing a sex tape or for somehow, again, violating...
Our role models are all these people do crazy, crazy things. Online as well as on TV.
Right, my producer just said in my ear that the jackass, stuff that you see both online and on TV, if anybody is stupid enough to watch it, they see a bunch of morons doing obviously dangerous things and people getting hurt.
To a certain extent, but this is where I think, because again, if you get your news from Stephen Colbert and you understand the news, then you can understand the funny and the satire. But if you just get your news from Stephen Colbert and you don't understand the political context, you may just take his satire as the news. Again, you may take The Onion as the news and not understand this thing because you're just reading a headline, because you're just playing on the surface. And so it goes to a deeper level of our media, of the information distribution, the way we're building our societal structure.
Right. I think we're missing...
We have to take a quick break. We are just getting warmed up, and we'll have much more on the Tide Pod Challenge right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
I took my first handful of pills, and that's when all my priorities seemed to change.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes.
He just assumed that they would have medication.
He'd go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
I wish I knew really what these prescription pills were.
We were so naive about the whole drug thing.
These are all synthetic forms of heroin.
Keep your medication locked up because you'll never notice that a pill is gone.
mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins.
And I'm Stephanie Webb. Goodwill, Minnesota, and Michael's on East are teaming up for the 13th annual Mardi Gras Gala.
We'll tell you how it benefits local Goodwill programs and services tomorrow on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
So we are looking at a frontal boundary which may provide us with some unsettled weather over the next 24 hours. We'll talk about it.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
Our conversation on the Tide Pod Challenge continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are looking at the tower cam right now, and it's showing some traffic coming off the island as a result of the beautiful day today. A lot of people out there enjoying the fine weather, and so was Captain Johnny Walker along with his mom. She was out there along with Captain, and they were catching some big trout. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night on the Fisher Report. By the way, she's 97. She caught the biggest fish and the first one. Dottie Hoffer getting the sun dog. You can see it on this picture. A sun dog, it actually dogs the sun. It looks like a secondary sun. It's smaller in this particular photo, but they can be quite large, and it's caused by these ice crystals that are composed of, again, the cirrus clouds that are composed of ice crystals. And the sun's light shines on it. It acts like a prism, bends it, and slows it down. You get this little miniature sun that you see there. We had a couple of photos sent in. Van Wezel webcam also capturing that same thing. Nice boating out there, too. We saw a couple of sailboats going on by. There it is right there. You can see a little bit of it as the sun has now set, and it was another gorgeous sunset here along the Sun Coast. Well, weather headlines read like this: some fog developing. That'll be the biggest downside of our weather, and it could be rather thick as we will see some of that sea fog rolling in out ahead of a frontal system. Staying warm, though. Even though the cold front's coming down, it's going to stay warm. Slight chance for some weekend showers as another weak system moves in, and it's not going to chill us out much, but it will bring us a little bit increase in clouds on Sunday with a chance for some rainfall, mainly late Sunday and into Monday. So we're on that kind of train right now. It seems like a late Sunday for the last 3 weeks now. Some showers are possible tomorrow, but not many. 1 or 2 as the front sags southward. With that onshore flow, we'll have some sea fog, but then the winds will quickly switch to an easterly direction as high pressure builds in behind it. And it looks as though that fog could stick around in some areas a little longer than usual due to the nature of that sea fog. And we will see some cloudiness again on Friday, a mixture of sun and clouds, and a little sunnier, I think, on Saturday. Saturday looks to be the best day of the two. Showers associated with that frontal boundary stretching from the Carolinas all the way down through Georgia and into Florida, down through near New Orleans, and behind it much colder air, but that front's going to get down to north central Florida, more than likely fall away and fall apart and not do a whole lot with us as far as temperatures go. All this energy that you see here will be streaming off to the northeast too, so it should not be a factor for us as far as any heavy rain. I mentioned a slight chance for a few passing showers tomorrow. 71 right now, the dew point way up there at 67, and the high today way up there as well at 82 degrees, 2 degrees shy of the record set back in 1989. And temperatures around the state, 60s and 70s, mainly 71 now in Sarasota. It's a little bit cooler right along the area beaches because of that water temperature now at 67 degrees. Same in Cortez as far as the temp goes. 68 in Inglewood, and in Northport, you're a bit warmer, 75. So the forecast now is changing just a little bit. More clouds than sun throughout the day. We'll have high temperatures in the upper 70s right on in through much of the afternoon. Now for boaters, beware of that fog. Otherwise, not too bad out there. A light chop on the bays and inland waters. Winds out of the southeast, turning around to the southwest. And the forecast for the next 7 days. Notice the one thing, temperatures do not drop all that much. Despite the presence of another front coming through or nearby late Sunday and Monday, we'll get a 30% chance for rainfall later in the day on Sunday and Monday morning, and temperatures remaining in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. Alan will be back with his guest right after this. Stick around.
Everyone likes the 2018 Honda Civic. For $169 a month, you made Civic the best-selling compact car in America. You'll like Civic's 5-star safety ratings and that KBB.com named Civic a best buy and the most awarded car. Get the 2018 Civic at a payment you'll love. $169 a month today at your local Honda dealer.
Honda, I like it. Oh yeah, I like it.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny'd been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
My name is Luke Perry, and I am 1 million strong. I'm in the fight against colorectal cancer because I believe we can win it. Colon and rectal cancers are the second leading cause of cancer deaths among men and women in the U.S. Colon cancer is preventable. Know the risk factors and make sure to get screened. There are simple, take-home options available. Take control of your health. Screening for colon cancer isn't embarrassing. It can be life-saving. To find out more about your options, visit fightcrc.org.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. You're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
Welcome back. We are talking about the Tide Pod Challenge. Joining us for more clinical psychologists Eddie Rainier and Raymar Tirado of the Sarasota Underground. And doctor, let me start with you. You were saying in the break, these kinds of challenges, kind of foolish teenage pranks have always been around, but it's different today, isn't it?
It's different because the speed by which we can take someone's prank and put it into everybody's home, and it looks cool. So the 20s kid used to stand on the hood of a car while his friends drove it very fast. Suddenly it can be imitated by hundreds of kids because they see it on the same time it's happening. So this is nothing new. It's just that how fast things can get to us. And something as dangerous as a Tide Pod can cause massive damage to kids, and it can all happen so fast we have no control over it.
Raymar, what responsibility do social media platforms, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or anything else, have to not let these videos go and stay online?
The problem is they have a huge responsibility, first of all, but it goes against their business model to stop content from proliferating, especially viral content, because it draws you to your feed and that allows them to sell more advertising to you or to advertisers and to put the message.
So where is the line? I mean, we talked about some of those stupid stunts like the Jackass videos.
But that was marketing, right? That's MTV, just marketing at scale. That's a different type of marketing.
So where's the line between doing that kind of dangerous prank and then something like this, basically ingesting poison?
I don't know how you draw the line. Like, I really think what we're seeing here is we're seeing a shift in society in the way that we're being bombarded with the amount of information. We haven't evolved to take in all of these inputs. And so we're still trying to figure out at scale, how is it that we deal with this virus called technology? And so if you think about it, we're like a caterpillar building a cocoon. In 100 years, we're going to come out as a completely different species. This different idea of who we are, how we interact, all this stuff. And we just can't see it right now that we're going into this phase where things are going to change so fast where we don't really understand how these things are happening. And part of that is these trends that proliferate, and we seem to not be able to understand them, but it is a symptom of this growing pain that we're seeing, this information proliferation, this whole societal structure we're building.
So, doctor, you have a whole lot of parents watching this right now, waiting for me to ask you, how should you talk to your children about this?
Well, wonderful question, because you know what? There was a time we were responsible for ourselves, and we've gotten away from that. We're raising our kids in a bubble. We don't let them get hurt. We watch everything they do, everything they see. We want to hover them, over everything. And what that does, it takes responsibility of taking care of myself to mom taking care of me, government taking care of me, someone else taking care of me. So then I can take any kind of risk that I want because I don't need to worry because my dad will come, my mom will come, my cousin will come, the teacher will come to save me. And the world just doesn't work that way.
And I think it gets much worse before it gets better. Like, it gets much worse as we start seeing VR creep up, as we start seeing people immerse themselves into these worlds that we're going to build. They're going to become indistinguishable from the real world. And you will see people jump into these worlds, and they will be able to take those risks with impunity. Right, and so then those lines start becoming even more blurred as you see us jump into these just...
So I can't tell you how many times I have said to my son when he goes out at night, don't do anything stupid. I would imagine that doesn't cover it.
No, my mother used to say, if I had a friend who wanted to jump off a cliff, would I jump off too? Well, in my day, I wouldn't, because my mother had that discussion with me. But today, the kids would.
Well, yeah, because now they got a GoPro and they can record it. And it looks cool, and it might go viral on YouTube.
So, is there something that we should be talking to our kids about?
You know, more than talk, we need to show. We need to take away the bubble. We need to let them experience. Let them. What's wrong with scraping your knee? What's wrong if a kid does something that causes them some pain and some discomfort? Maybe that's when we talk with them and say, "How did that happen to you?" Rather than to rush and find someone else to blame for it and take the oneness off of them into something else.
What I'm thinking about right now is in our schools, very often that we have programs where police in the DARE program will pull up a vehicle that was mangled in a drunk driving crash as a way to try to educate kids about the real life consequences of drunk driving. In other cases, they have Scared Straight, where they show kids what a jail cell is actually like when the door is locked, as a way of showing kids what to do. Is there anything...
You could argue the effectiveness of any of that stuff. Like, look at Steve Jobs. He restricted usage for his kids' digital devices, right? Like, you just don't get to use them. If you look at a lot of the people in Silicon Valley, a lot of the big money tech people, they're sending their kids to schools that are very low tech. They're very hands-on. Childs at early ages require that social stimulation. These devices are acting very much like drugs and other psychoactive substances. That's how they impact the brain. And so to them, they become these addictions, right? And so you have these kids that this is all they do, this is all they know. They walk up to pictures and pieces of glass and they start swiping, expecting the images to move, you know?
Well, it was not long ago where I did stories about a lot of schools who were actually requiring kids to have iPads there to do their classwork on and take home at night. I mean, do we have to rethink the technological tools that we are giving our kids to do?
Absolutely. We need to give them vacations from their technology. And we need to get kids, the best person who can protect a kid is that kid. No matter how much of a hovercraft parent we are, the best person to protect that kid is them. And they can protect themselves if they understand dangers. If we take the dangers away, we don't let them understand it, how can they protect themselves from it?
Well, and we have to quit manipulating each other at scale. We have to quit as businesses using every information data point as a sales trigger, right? And so that's what is driving all this, right? There's lots of ad revenue to be had through all these mechanisms. That's why you're seeing all this stuff proliferate. And so really we have to start thinking about what we're going to do as we move forward at an institutional level to start saying, you know, you can't spy on me to sell me stuff. You can't manipulate me with these media games.
Our social media platforms have not been real good the last few years in terms of policing themselves, in terms of content.
They never knew. You could never have known, and maybe at a certain level, after a certain level they did, because they experiment with people's emotions at scale. But you know, when they set out, like, you don't know what you're going to start when you start connecting people like this, right? When they started the internet, they didn't know it was going to evolve into this in 20, 30 years.
Doctor, how often do you have parents and kids coming into your practice with this kind of problem in terms of they saw something, whether it was online or their friends are doing it, and they're getting themselves into trouble that they don't quite know how to get themselves out of?
That happens on a daily basis, but that's not the reason they come in. They come in because the parents lost control, because that kid's listening to social media and has 5,000 friends who are giving them advice. And so the parent comes in because they're having troubles making that kid comply. And when that kid comes in and then they're talking to me, they pull out their cell phone and they're spending the entire time with the cell phone, I take the cell phone away. Then the kid gets upset. And they'll tell the parents, I don't want to come back because he took my cell phone away.
Well, and you can't dismiss that, right? You can't dismiss the fact that parents ultimately have a responsibility for their children, and it seems like we've, like you alluded to earlier, we've given that responsibility up to the state, to the schools, to whatever other institution we could, but it really is the parents.
We have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts in a moment.
SRQ Performance Parts provides parts and accessories from over 300 manufacturers, so you can get that new manifold, carburetor, gasket, bolt kit, or nitrous oxide system fast. We'll help you beat the competition. Call or visit SRQ Performance Parts online today for all your high-performance parts and advice.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how we can help, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish! In your face, in your face, in
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
Watch Good Morning Suncoast on ABC7, weekdays starting at 5.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Doctor, you were basically saying to us that parents somehow should not stop their youngsters from getting hurt in some ways. It's important for young people to realize that they can get hurt, they could experience failure and so forth. But again, where is the line between...
Eating Tide Pods is a lie.
Yes, that's the question.
It's a lie.
So what do you do?
Well, I think we have to talk to our kids, but also ultimately they have to take responsibility for themselves. And we have to allow them to take responsibility when they're young, when the consequences are small, and so that when they get older, they can take more reasonable risk because they'll understand that there are consequences to their behavior. When we take the consequences away when they're little, they don't learn it when they're older. So they're older, then they do things that are really inherently dangerous and damaging. So the problem is that we're too much overprotective when they're young, so they don't experience anything, and then when they're older, we can't protect them anymore.
And Raymond, we talked about the fact that a lot of these social media platforms are not policing themselves. I would imagine when it comes to this, it would be very hard for government to step in and do anything about it.
We start opening the door to censorship discussions, First Amendment, right? So who censors, how, what's the threshold for that, right? So that's a whole another discussion you start having when you start talking about any of that. And so again, there's so multifaceted any of these things.
And then there are people out there saying that we are making the situation worse by even having a show like this, talking about it and showing what kids are doing.
Sure. You could make that argument. I mean, I think it's, in this instance, it's a silly argument. I mean, I've seen that argument in other places, but to be honest, like we're headed towards a hard world, and to expect parents to be able to understand what that world looks like and prepare their children is tough, let alone having to navigate all these social waters.
Okay.
So
we'll have to leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you very much. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show on Christian support for President Trump. Despite 2 failed marriages, numerous sexual harassment allegations, bragging about his mistreatment of women, an alleged affair with a porn star, and vulgar language, he can still do no wrong in the eyes of many Christians. And we went to Facebook, and here is what some of you have to say. Cheryl says, I don't judge President Trump or am giving him a pass. I am thankful he is a true American patriot and is doing the best to truly make America a great country again. Gary says, every time a Republican does something reprehensible, evangelicals give them a pass. Democrats don't get the same forgiveness. Curious. No. And Minister Roger Fritz of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Sarasota says, I believe that the duty of both religious and political leaders is to model personal virtue. In 1998, I preached a sermon calling for President Clinton to resign because of his adultery. 20 years later, I am making the same request of President Trump. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired, just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank both our guests for being here tonight, clinical psychologist Eddie Rainier and Ray Martorado of Sarasota Underground. And when we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather. Plus, with a government shutdown just a day away, can both sides come together to avoid the second shutdown in a month?
Rugs as Art. You know the name. You know the building. But do you know what's inside? Yes, Rugs as Art is Florida's #1 area rug superstore. But there is so much more. Amazing furniture, accessories, and art. All this and more. Come see for yourself. You'll love our personal touch and be pleasantly surprised by our affordable prices. Rugs as Art and more. There is so much more to explore.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
My life motto is keep moving. And as hard as it was when my husband passed away, I knew I had to keep doing what I love. Oops, coming. But I needed help with my insurance, and that's what the NAIC provides. They have resources to help you and your family make the best decision, and they'll help you to keep moving forward, just like me.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan, and get a look at this. Beautiful, calm conditions out there in Lido today. Barbara sending this photo in, and looks like things are going to stay that way. I mentioned the sundog earlier. Well, more photos coming in. This one from Steve as he was sitting there in traffic. You can see it right there above the light. Look it up. Google it, sundog, and Casey Key webcam. Again, showing quite a bit of boating activity out there earlier today, and now the sun has set and still calm, flat, calm seas. Should stay that way too. Some problems with boaters, though, would be the possibility, at least, of some pretty heavy fog around tomorrow morning, and no real threat of any significant rainfall. There's a chance we could see a few showers as that front moves in, then moves back northward. We can see some snow falling, expected to fall across parts of Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania over the upcoming days. Now, the satellite and radar review is showing the rainfall kind of thinning out a bit, and that's the reason why we don't expect much rainfall here. The main energy associated with this frontal boundary will stay well to our north as the front continues to move to the south. It will weaken and eventually fade away. It looks like right over the top of us, and pretty much not have any impact on our weather in terms of temperature difference. Although we were warm today, 82 degrees. We'll be slightly a little bit below that, but still above average tomorrow. 71 degrees our current temperature. It's nice out there. West wind at 3 and the pressure at 30.21. And that's up, and that continues to rise. There's the high, 82 degrees, close to the record, and 84 is the record high temperature. 64 into Tallahassee right now, 77 in Orlando, and Miami at 77 degrees. Temperatures in the upper 60s from Bradenton to Cortez, Sarasota. Lakewood Ranch now checking in at 68 degrees, 68 in Venice, the same in Englewood, Northport, you're at 73. and Arcadia, a little bit warmer away from the water. The forecast tomorrow, not the best in terms of beach weather. We're going to see more clouds and sun as a result of that frontal boundary hanging by, as expected. There will be some breaks, though, in the clouds now and again. Now, there is a very small chance for a few showers tomorrow. Not a lot of rainfall, if we see any at all. They're getting snowfall up in the northeast into parts of Maine. This is a quick hitter, fast-moving system blowing up and then pushing off toward the east. Now, that snow's starting to wind down in Vermont and New Hampshire. Still pretty heavy in Maine, and Boston getting some freezing rain, kind of a snow mix there as a result of that quick clipper. Here's the forecast. The Europeans suggesting more snow again on Thursday and Friday, and then another little system moving in on Saturday. So winter really hanging on there and kind of gaining some strength on Saturday as far as that freezing rain goes through Iowa and Ohio, eventually stretching off to New York and places to the north. Well, current temperatures as they read, 10 degrees in Minneapolis. It's cold in Chicago, 16. The wind chill factor much colder than that. Highs tomorrow not much better, into the teens and 20s. The boating forecast for tomorrow, seas will be running less than 2 feet and a light chop on the bays and inland waters. The 7-day forecast shapes up like this for us over the next 7 days. Looks to stay warm, although a few clouds around tomorrow, more clouds and sun, a little bit more sunshine on Saturday. Just a slight chance for a shower on Sunday. The rain chance at 30%. Tomorrow will be at 20%. And Sunday night, Monday morning, still that 30% chance for rainfall. But notice temperatures staying warm right on in through Wednesday of next week. Alan will have primetime headlines right after this.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here. Because
why, you don't like my hair?
The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds. No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm going to show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch The Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
Meet Blue. Blue's not feeling well. The prescription? Generic medication. Blue wonders, do they really work as well as name brands? Yes, generics and name brand medications do work the same. Even though they may look different, generics have the same key ingredients. FDA approval is equally rigorous for generics to make sure they're as safe and effective as name brands. And Blue even saves him green, making him a little less, well, blue. Talk to your doctor about generics and visit fda.gov/generic drugs.
Here's today's Job of the Day. ABC7 is seeking a multimedia journalist who can tell a story on all platforms and meet tight deadlines. Reporting experience required. Visit mysuncoast.com/job of the day to apply.
Checking primetime headlines today, the Senate agreed to a rare bipartisan spending bill, but it doesn't include a deal on immigration, something both President Trump and Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi want. ABC's Tara Palmieri has more.
Senate leaders on both sides of the aisle are claiming victory. They agreed to a 2-year spending bill that, if approved by the House, would avoid a government shutdown.
While President Trump threatens shutdowns and stalemates,
Congressional leaders have done the hard work.
The $400 billion deal includes lifting the spending caps, increasing funding for the military, domestic programs, and disaster relief. But the bill puts off dealing with immigration for another day. And that's not cutting it for House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. She stayed on the House floor for hours in support of Dreamers, undocumented immigrants brought to the country as children.
This package does not have my support, nor does it have the support of a large number of members of our caucus.
Yesterday, President Trump said he welcomed a shutdown if his immigration demands weren't met. He wants a wall along the southern border in exchange for amnesty for the Dreamers. But today, White House spokesperson Sarah Sanders said he likes the Senate deal, even if it doesn't include an immigration fix.
I think we've made clear that the budget deal should be a budget deal, and that members of Congress, like Nancy Pelosi, should not hold our military hostage over a separate issue.
The Senate has now sent their bill over to the House. They have just 24 hours to secure the votes on a bill that not only excludes immigration, but also increases the deficit, something House conservatives will most likely reject.
I can't imagine there's a whole lot of us wanting to vote for this.
The DACA program that protects Dreamers expires March 5th. The president's chief of staff says they have no plans to extend that deadline, putting pressure on Congress to act. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, Washington.
A top aide to President Trump has resigned amid abuse claims by his two former wives. Rob Porter, who serves as a White House staff secretary, released a statement denying the claims, calling them outrageous and vile. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says Porter's last day on the job has not been set. President Trump wants a military parade. The president was inspired after seeing France's Bastille Day celebrations. One option being considered for the parade is in November in conjunction with the 100th anniversary of the ending of World War II. Criminal charges have been filed against the man who allegedly responsible for a weekend crash that killed two people, including an NFL player. Manuel Arrigo Zavala appeared in court today. He is accused of driving while intoxicated and crashing his truck into the victim's vehicle stopped on the side of an interstate early Sunday morning. Jeffrey Monroe and Indianapolis Colts linebacker Edwin Jackson were standing outside the vehicle at the time of the crash. Arrigo Zavala was caught by police after fleeing the scene. Prosecutors say he is an undocumented immigrant from Honduras who has been deported from the U.S. twice. And this one is for our producer, Greg. If you're a fan of the 90s girl band Spice Girls, as Greg is, I'll tell you what you really, really want. The Spice Girls are getting back together and going on tour. All 5 members, Scary, Baby, Posh, Sport, and Ginger, will be traveling across the United States and the United Kingdom later this year. The 90s British pop phenoms, the Spice Girls, announced they are planning to work together for the first time in 6 years. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.